Hold on. Be patient. Trying to. There we go. All right, we got a lot of people on here. We got David Highland. Let's see here. I have invited Jason to the live. And let's see. I'm so pumped. This guy's so cool. Jason Gesing.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, man. What's up, dude?
Hold on one second, buddy. I just got you on the other screen here, too. I gave you a little bit of a heads up about how disastrous this might be, so we're going to give it a shot, though.
Dude,
how are you?
Is this your first Facebook Live?
You know what? I didn't think it was, but I guess it must be, because I clearly, Caitlin, my assistant, I think you met Caitlin down in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah,
she just messaged me about 3 minutes ago, and she said, do you have the phone attached to your tripod? And I said, tripod. So I don't think I've done it before, but there's nobody I'd rather be doing it with. In fact, I just got back from vacation last week. We were down in South Florida. And so you know how it is on the first day back, right? I mean, it tends to be a little bit of a longer day. So here we are. It's 9:30 in the East. And I said, a few minutes ago, I said, there's two options to extend this day a little bit more and have a lot of energy. I could get a cup of coffee or I could talk to Jay Nelson. So it's not a good idea to drink coffee at 9:30. So happy to be with you.
Man, Jason, I'm so excited about what's going on and what we're seeing in this company. And you guys, man, I feel like it's just been a blessing what you guys have mapped out for all of us crazy realtors, man. And, I've got some questions I'm going to ask you, and we've got a ton of people on here watching. And
okay.
I think a lot of people, some of them are in real estate, some of them are not in real estate, but they're watching our stock just do some crazy stuff. And when I came on board, Jason, I thought, man, this thing's pretty cool. And then now the amount of agents that are coming in, the mega agents, I was on the phone and I'm dead serious, in the last 24 hours, I have talked to about 6 agents that do over 20 million in volume a year. And all of them are like, this makes sense. And most of them have been at their brokerages for 10, 12, 15 years. And so it's all thanks to what you and Glenn and the core, because Jason's the CEO and Glenn's the founder, and Vicky doing an amazing job as the president. And now Mary Francis came on board. You guys are bringing on executive talent to scale this company. But, tell us a little background about you in real estate. I know you're now the CEO. How long have you been in real estate, and kind of how did you get to EXP?
Well, it's been a great journey, both getting there and since I arrived. I will correct you on one thing, and Glenn certainly deserves all the credit in the world for having the vision and the idea and the brains to put this all together. It's amazing, but we're doing what we're doing, and we'll get to wherever it is we're going to go because of the agents who are part of the company. And so I started as an agent. I started as a broker. I opened up Massachusetts and New Hampshire because the company had no presence in the Northeast and really none in the eastern half of the country. Most of the agent concentration back in 2009 up until the time that I joined in January 2010 was concentrated in the Southwest, in Arizona specifically, or in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. And for me, I saw this as just an opportunity that it made all the sense in the world, in part because I was living an experience that was reflective of just how impactful the fixed costs of brick and mortar, the costs associated with staffing multiple locations, brick and mortar locations, the impact that can have on somebody's life who's in professional services. I was living it every day. I wasn't seeing my kids for consecutive days in a row. They were very young at the time. It was because I was driving to and from an office, and I was in traffic more days than I wasn't. And so that was very real to me. To your question about how long have I been in real estate, I've been licensed since 2002. I have had managing brokers licenses at various times in Massachusetts, Maine, and New Hampshire.
Wow.
I also, in a past life, for the better part of 10 years, was a practicing attorney, primarily in real estate and transactional related issues. Not a whole lot of litigation, but land use, zoning, public construction, a little bit of labor and employment. So in addition to conveyancing, commercial leasing. So a lot of real estate involved in that, as well as performing transactions and having an ownership interest in an independent brokerage in Massachusetts. So, but I just it was just great luck and circumstance that introduced me to Glenn Sanford in our cloud office. By the way, that's where we first met. And it was from
Oh,
that moment that I knew that there was, yeah, absolutely. And it looked a lot different than it does today, Jay. But it was at that moment that I knew that there was both a tremendous idea that made too much sense to not have a really good chance of succeeding, but then it was also combined with somebody who had a great deal of intelligence, but also some humility, and was very approachable and down to earth. And those are attributes that I respect in anybody. And I knew it was somebody I could work for and work with and be inspired by.
well, you know, I think you touch on the brick and mortar. You know, I was a partner owner in a Remax years ago. I think I did that at the wrong time. You know, it was 07, 08. And, you know, when the market started to dip for us, boy, the weight of brick and mortar got a lot heavier, and, you know, the staffing. So I understand, you know, the cloud. But I think also something that EXP, I love the cloud because you're right. I mean, we got our, you know, family in the other room. We have a conversation. We use the technology that we're using here, and then we're able to just bounce in and not have to drive across town to have a meeting. There's just so many things that are more scalable. I told somebody the other day, I said, I honestly believe that EXP was not even possible. The technology wasn't even here 10 years ago, Jason.
Right.
I mean,
And I think, you know, the virtual brokerage has been around for a while, right? In terms of how do you keep your costs down and still do well in business. But I think where we've really succeeded, and it just gets better every single day, is in building that community. And that all starts with having, you know, the technology and the infrastructure in place where people can go in and feel like they're in an office and actually feel like they're getting the value that's always been there as part of the office experience, right? There's always been value in being around somebody like yourself who's successful in the business, learning from you, sharing ideas with you, turning to you when I'm, you know, in need because I can't figure something out. And I think more and more that value has gone away from the physical office, but it still exists. And so how do you build an infrastructure and a support system where people feel like they have endless numbers of people to turn to, all of whom are talented, all of whom have a vested interest in their success because they're fellow shareholders? And how do you do it without any sort of border or geographic limitation? And I think that's probably the most exciting part of the entire thing for me. I mean, we get a lot of people from different parts of the globe that call and will ask about opening EXP in their part of the world. Most recently, Central Europe. We had somebody reach out, Dubai on a couple of different occasions, different parts of Africa, Ghana. And at some point, it's really exciting when you start to think about pulling all of those people together in one location. And the space really does that. The world really does that. And it's got the social component. It's got the speed boats, right? I mean, I'm sure you've been on
yeah,
those. We have our, you know, meetings on the pirate ship, and we can go to the beach, and at the same time, we can go into a room and get tech support, and we can meet with a transaction coordinator. So it does all of those things and then some because it really opens up to the agent a limitless number of opportunities to network and to really improve and build upon the skill set that they already have and learn from people that are in completely different markets
absolutely.
and who have entirely different backgrounds.
You know, and like I was blown away at like all the icons. You know, we always talk about newer agents or agents that want to take their business to another level. And one of the things that we're doing, and it just blew me away, the very first week I got in there for the icon training, we had about 300 or 400 agents in the office, and there's $100 million worth of producers. We're all sitting in our pajamas, and these producers are sitting there from all these different markets, not just in Nashville where I am, and they're sharing every trick of the trade, everything they do on a daily basis, how they market their properties, how they give more service to their clients. And we're just sitting there, you know, all of us in our pajamas, listening and soaking it in. And I just, this is the most unselfish company as far as agents sharing their success with other agents instead of it being everybody competing with each other. We're global. So the guy in California is telling Jay, hey, I'm not going to go take any listings in Nashville, so I might as well give you all my trade secrets.
Right. And I think agent ownership goes to that directly too, right? I mean, the idea that, your success is my success. I mean, there's really no reason not to support one another in achieving everybody's respective goals, because the individual goals are the collective goals. And but it has been absolutely incredible to see. I mean, even when it made all the sense in the world, and you thought to yourself, this couldn't possibly not gain some traction among some people. I don't know that you ever could have anticipated that week after week, and now really even more frequently than that, teams are coming over that are doing 400, 500, 600 transactions per year. You mentioned the folks that you've just had conversations with today. Tomorrow I'm meeting with somebody who does, honestly does more than $1 billion a year just in terms of, one unit. And I mean, that's just incredible stuff. And you think about all of the experience that goes into that kind of success. And if this idea that if you can pull it all together, wherever those people are located, and you can put them in a room together and get them to work together on a daily basis and share what it is that they know and what makes them successful, and you start to think about the power of that, it's more than an adequate substitute for just about any tool that you can come up with, any CRM system you could develop, or anything else at all. And I think that there's a spirit behind the company and everybody who's in it that's driven by ownership. And I think in combination, it's been a very, very, very powerful force. And I think it's reflected in our growth numbers.
I mean, the growth numbers are off the chain, man. I mean, it's crazy, man. I'm just so excited. I mean, I haven't had
how many folks were with us when you joined? Do you remember?
right at 3,000. And that was in May.
3,000. Okay, so about a year ago. Yeah.
Well, not even a year
Up
ago.
May.
9 months and 10 months. Right at 3 days shy of 10 months.
Okay.
Where are we at right now?
Yeah. I think we announced that we crossed 8,000, and so that has all happened in a very short period of time. I think we were at 5,000 when we were at the convention in Fort Lauderdale. The 3,000 number sticks out from the shareholder meeting a year ago. And so we do have these two major live events each year, and the live events are critically important because I think, for whatever segment of the agent community in the company that isn't going into the cloud maybe as much as some of the other folks, it's a way to reconnect and bring people back in. But more than that, I think it's a real validation for people to come to those events and to see people that they've gotten to know over the course of many conversations, avatar to avatar, and to see just how real that is. And there are a couple of stories that always stick out in my mind about people who have met on our campus and gone on to form pretty strong relationships and bonds. But yeah, that's remarkable. So yeah, we just crossed the 8,000 number. That's created a number of different challenges too. And you've referenced our team and the people that we're bringing on board, and Mary Frances Coleman and Scott Petronas is like, I mean, I've had the good fortune of meeting a lot of people in this industry over the course of the last 8 years. None more impressive, and what they are doing in combination along with others, just it's incredible to watch. And I think there's one thing about the company among many that defines, sort of how we approach things, which is, it is head down, focused on the mission all the time, without really a whole lot of distraction in terms of what else might be going on, whether it's in the industry or at other companies. I mean, the folks that are part of this team here are really focused around the clock on what it is that needs to be done in order to improve upon the agent experience. And that all starts with Glenn, right? To make sure that everything that you do in the company is driven by this desire to recognize the agent both as customer and shareholder, and to do everything you can to make that experience as delightful as you can possibly make it. And ever since January 2015, we've had that in place formally, and we've been living by it, I think.
I think it's that, like you said, it's that community of everybody working toward the same goal. And one of the things I love about EXP, man, and I've just seen this time and time again, is how focused we are on making sure that the agents feel like that they're the brand. It's not about EXP as much as it is about the agent. My clientele, my friends, and what I always say, like, my friends are my clients, man. I'm too much, I either like you or, I'm kind of crazy like that. But, I think EXP has a real focus, not just on the ownership of agents in the brokerage, but it really EXP trying to give us tools so we can brand our relationships with our clients and brand ourselves. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. In fact, we just finalized our brokerage operations folks. We worked on an agreement to put together in terms of people that have branch offices, right? At the end of the day, there are going to be some individuals in the business who want to work in an office. And the idea, at least for me, isn't that you tell somebody that they can't work in an office. Instead, you say, you should choose which office you want to work out of if you want to work out of one at all. In other words, the choice shouldn't be made for you that you need to subsidize an office that somebody else has picked out and they've decided that it's going to be 10,000 square feet or 25,000 square feet, or that it's a 7-year lease, or that cam charges are going to be such and such. That should be a decision that should be left to the agent. And if the agent can figure out a way to do it without so much, then great. That's money that they can put into their business in other ways. But if they need an office, they can determine that, yeah, this is the space that works for me, that works for my team, and a location that I like. But anyway, we to your point about the branding, we've put together as part of the, sort of the agreement between the company and the agent. We want to the greatest extent that the regulations will allow, and we always want to follow the
Sure.
regulations, obviously, and we do. But we want as much as we can to have that office branded in the name of the agent or in the name of the team, rather than in the name of the company. And I think that's something that we've been consistent with in our approach relative to websites, signage, just about any branding. And I think it speaks to the reason why agents are owners in the company, because we could have the best of everything, but the agents, right? And if you don't have the agents, then you really, all of that other stuff just doesn't matter a whole lot. So you're absolutely right. I see Trish Caballero is on there. Hey, Trish, I was just in Miami. Love her. And Ralph, hope Ralph is there too. I just, out of the corner of my eye, I've got the
We
little
got a
screen on here
lot
to
of
see who's
people
watching.
on here, man. Thanks for coming
So,
out and checking this out. And Jason, I want to touch on something that's really, really, really important to me. And it's
yeah,
probably more important to me than anything about EXP. And I do mean this. Because I'm so crazy and I keep it real, man. I'm this crazy, Jason. I think you realized that in Fort Lauderdale. But
I did.
I am all about transparency. And the thing that I just want to tip my hat to Glenn Sanford and yourself and Gene and Rob and everybody and Vicky and everybody that's put together this amazingly God-blessed company is that I feel like if you're going to tell me, if you're going to sell me that I'm an owner, then show me everything, right? Like, I think that
Right.
because we're public and because we get, we see the books. I mean, I see everything. Like, that's what I'm about. I'm about like the transparency. And that's why I told an agent today, I was like, you know what? I don't see a hole in the deal. Like if there was a hole, Jason, I would have dropped a nuclear bomb through it. But I think because you guys have created this transparency for every single agent, it's not just for the top agents. It's not just for that agent that sold 500 houses you're going to meet tomorrow. It's not just for me who does 20 million a year. It's for the brand new agent, the brand new guy. He gets the same deal as me. Everybody gets treated honestly and fairly. And that's powerful, man. What are your thoughts on the
Yeah.
transparency of this company?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, as part of being a public company, everything is there for people to see, and they ought to have access to it. I think from the very beginning, I think the tone has always been one of, any meeting that's going on in the world, come on in, right? And if for some reason there's a conversation going on, we can point that out. But it's an open door world, right? You can go in anywhere you want at any point, and you can see what's going on. You can hear what's going on at your company. I think the introduction recently of Workplace
Oh,
as a communications tool, right? Instead of using email and Voxer and all of these other different systems that we've used over the years, the introduction of Workplace has just been tremendous, because now all of a sudden there's complete transparency throughout the organization, because any agent can post anything in a group on a particular subject matter. They can create groups. And so, challenges that we're working through together, ideas that people are excited about, they can all be addressed within this community that exists on Workplace, and there's complete transparency in it. So it is one of our core values as a company, as you know. It is something that Glenn has instructed on and taught us to live by from the very beginning, from day one. And I would say to you too, I never really try to sell anybody on EXP or on joining the company. I think the way we do things is so fundamentally different that, people ought to be trying to poke holes to it, right? They
Yeah.
they ought to be, kicking it around. They ought to look at it very closely because these are big decisions when you make a change in your career and you decide to affiliate with another company, particularly you're successful in the business and you have a lot of credibility in the business. So we want people to look at it. We want them to ask the hard questions. And we want them to examine every bit of it because they're going to own it and they ought to know what they're getting into. So,
Um, Let me ask you this: as far as the
yeah,
scalability, I mean, for you, I mean, like you said, people are reaching out to our company all over the world and they see the value of agent ownership. They see what you guys have created. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Is this the Amazon of real estate? Are we going in that direction? I know the speed seems to be that Amazon and I guess what I'm trying to say is, and I want you to understand my question. One of the things I've heard you talk about before is the ability to service the agents. See, when EXP serves us as agents, it gives me more time to serve my clients, to serve
hmm
my listings and the people that I'm working for. So when you're talking about scalability and you hear about Amazon flying drones to pick up boxes, it's getting the speed of the service to the consumer. You guys are
right.
doing the same thing as far as transactionally, all the paperwork that comes through and goes through, and then you're cutting checks and direct depositing and all that sort of stuff. Do you feel like
Right.
we're moving? Because I know Swanpole called us the Amazon of real estate. So talk about
Yeah.
those things.
Well, I'll defer to him on that. And that was certainly great when he did that. That was back, I think, 2013, and certainly since, it's been all upward from there. I think, by illustration, the scalability, is pretty easy to see, right? When you start thinking about the fact that I think our total MLS market area presence right now in the United States is somewhere between 250 and 300. I'm not sure the exact
Wow.
number, but you start to think about that. That means that there's all these different markets, the different MLS markets all over the country. And traditionally, in just about any other model, you're going to have a physical office in each one of those. You're going to have a managing broker in each one of those. You're going to have a transaction staff person, at least one in each one of those. You're going to have somebody there to answer the telephones. You're going to have somebody there who, in theory, is going to provide digital marketing support or agent onboarding, or who is going to provide transaction assistance and training and all of these different functions that need to be performed in order to provide that service to the agents. And if you look at the transaction management side alone, we serve the needs of our agents, and I believe in a way that's very interpersonal, right? Where our staff know the names of our agents, they know about their business.
Yeah.
The agents are walking in there every day to the office, and they're sitting across from one another at a table in a silent, a private sound region. They're dancing together. I mean, it's truly interactive and very human in terms of the way in which people are working together. But we do it with a transaction team, and I'm sure I'm going to get the number wrong because we've been hiring people very, very quickly. But it's about 30 people on that team, and as opposed to 250
I know.
or 300 at minimum, right? And those types of efficiencies are replicated in just about every functional area of the company. I mean, if you look at just some of the people that you've mentioned, right? Mary Frances is located in Scottsdale. I'm in Boston. Glenn's in Washington State. Alan Goldman's in Reno, Nevada. Scott's in Albany, New York.
Wow.
Kiwa's in Seattle. I mean, it just so I think that there's tremendous efficiency. I think there's a great opportunity to scale. I mean, we've been able over the years to go into states at minimal cost to set up, and when we've had good leadership in those markets, or whenever it's shown up, it's not so much a question of if, it's just a question of when. When somebody comes, I mean, let's take, I mean, when somebody comes that's of Jay Nelson's caliber into Nashville, I mean, look what happened in the last 12 months in Tennessee, right? I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I know that we've done amazing things there. Going to North Carolina tomorrow, North Carolina, the same thing. Northern California,
Yeah.
San Diego, just the week before last, we've had 3 or 4 phenomenal people, top people,
Yeah.
join the company. And when that type of thing happens, if nothing else, it causes people to sit up straight in their chair and say, wait a minute, what is EXP? Even if they don't join right away. But the fact that they're asking the question is encouraging. And so I think from a scalability standpoint, we're in a pretty good place.
Well, I tell you what, man, I like I said, I've never been this excited about what I do for a living, man. And I just, man, sometimes I wake up and I'm just like so thankful, and I see such a big picture. And I always tell some people, and I think you'll get a kick out of this. I think in the mindset of a of a normal real estate, even an owner, like if you own a real estate company, like I was a partner and owner on the Remax, I only thought about Nashville, Tennessee. Like that was
Yeah.
for me. So here we are,
Right.
a brokerage that's just that, in the old school days, we're owning a brokerage that's just focused on Nashville. Now, all of a sudden, as
Right.
an owner, I now, by the grace of God, have 286 agents in my brokerage because I'm a broker owner, man. So I'm talking to agents. I'm talking about how great EXP is. I'm able to go out and have a 286 broker agency, but I'm in 18
Yeah.
states, Jason.
Yeah, it's a great point, and almost better illustration of your question on scalability, right? So you think about it from the brokerage owner standpoint, whether it's a franchisee in any particular franchise model or an independent, if you want to step outside of your market area, if you want to move outside of that 30 or 50-mile radius around your locus, you want to go into another state, you've got to go and get another managing broker credential, or you've got to hire somebody, you've got to hire staff, you've got to go and find office space, you've got to sign leases, you've got to supervise, you've got to train, you've got to find the agents, you've got to figure out what systems to invest in. You've got to be the person that takes the calls from the real estate commission. You've got to review all the files. You've got to take money in some states, and you've got to manage escrow accounts and do reconciliations. You have to do all of those things. And yet here, that brokerage owner and many have, and more are coming. They can come over here. They can dispense with all of those things that they don't enjoy doing, like managing the trust account, like taking those calls, like hiring the staff. They don't have to go and get the additional credential, but they can leverage their reputation and their credibility. They can go out and they can build their organization across and within any of the markets that we're in. And I think that's going to be particularly evident when we hit the next downturn in the economy. I think it's going to be really powerful. And I think for the wonderful thing about it is we put every single agent in the company in the exact same position of that brokerage owner, right? The agent that joins tomorrow, who's been in the business for 2 years and has had great success in a short period of time, is in the same exact position as the person who was a 16-year Remax franchisee. And I only use that example because Tom Somerville and Marion Stafford were in that position when they joined us in 2010. Hall of Famers in their local market with their local board, phenomenal people, and they saw it back then. And I think that's the opportunity that exists today, but for everybody.
Yeah, it's powerful, Jason. Listen, man, last question. This is going to be a good one. And I have my own thoughts on this, okay? Because I really believe that a lot of agents are looking at EXP, and they might be like a little bit scared to jump off the ledge like maybe I did, but they see, wow, you know what? We're the agents. We're generating 100% of the money coming into the brokerages. Okay?
Right.
Why shouldn't we own it as agents?
Right.
Why shouldn't we own the brokerage if 100% of the money is coming in? And you know what? I think some people are like, it's not all about the money. It's about like, I'm just having fun with it. But my question to you is, I think a lot of people are looking at this thing that are even owners of their own brokerages. Kind of like, I don't know, have you had a chance to meet Stephanie Gilzon out of Louisville yet?
I've heard quite a bit about her. We've not yet had a chance to speak, but I just was hearing about her today, actually.
She, is an individual agent, does about 43 million individually, had her own brokerage and had 20 agents in the brokerage. It was like she had her own brokerage, EXp Realty. She brought the whole brokerage to EXP. Now it's still the same brand, EXp Realty, powered by EXP. Are you seeing that a lot?
Absolutely. Yeah. Over and over and over again. And I think for brokerage owners, I mean, if we could go down the list, right? I mean, look at the Willems, Marcy Willems, #1 team in Tucson, Arizona. Just was on the phone today with Jay Kinder and somebody he introduced me to that again, similar situation. And I mean, we're not talking. I mean, these are not businesses or brokerages that are struggling to succeed in the industry. I mean, these are companies that are recognized throughout their communities. They are very, very good at what they do. They have figured out how to make money in this industry as brokerage owners, to be profitable as a brokerage owner, and yet they're making the move because they're seeing what the potential is here to expand it even further. And you're right, it's not all about the money. It isn't. I mean, it really isn't. I know that. I mean, what the most exhilarating part of all of this, I think, is that to the very last person who's joined the company, I think ownership speaks to so much more than the stock certificate, right? It really speaks to this idea that you're valued as an agent in a way that you
Right.
haven't been before, because now instead of you know, if there's a problem or a challenge, you can be part of that solution, right? You
I
can
love it.
actually have an opportunity to be on the board of directors of the public company, and had to be one of two real estate agents that are representing everybody else in the organization at the public company board level.
Wow.
I mean, that's unheard of.
So there's
But
two
that's just how
agents on the
serious that we
board of
take.
directors,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
then the agent
And
advisory council's like how many agents?
we've got 12 members of the Agent Advisory Council. They're doing a great job. And hats off to Susie Truax for being such a leader in that regard. She's been really doing a great job there, as has Gene and so many others.
Right.
But they're active committees there. So, but it all goes back really to valuing the agents and recognizing the contribution that they make to everything. And without them, I sort of, if in fact it's the last question, then I'll just wrap with the same thing I started with, which is wherever we go, whether we end up being 100,000, 500,000, 50,000, 15,000, whatever that number is. Number's not even so much as important as the quality of the people that comprise the number. But wherever we end up, it will be because of the efforts of the agents, and it'll be because of the efforts of the team now that really is putting its head down and addressing some of the issues relative to scalability and providing excellent service and making sure that happens. And I think it'll be because we don't allow ourselves to get distracted by external factors, right? Let's make sure that when we're going out there and we're growing this and we're sharing our enthusiasm about the company, we're doing it in a way that isn't going to repel people, right? We're not sending out massive email blasts to everybody that we can think of and robo dialing and things like that. Let's make sure that we're doing this in a way that we can all be proud of. Let's speak well of the competition. Let's not speak poorly of any other company. There's so many great companies in this industry. They've all done amazing things. They've influenced huge numbers of lives, and we'll do well if we can do a fraction of what they've done. And so we just need to make sure that we stay focused on what it is that's important to us, to who we are, what we've always been about, and make sure we compete on those things.
Well, Jason, the integrity of you, the class, I feel blessed to have you leading this company into the future. And, I'm so thankful, man. And I really want to thank you. I want to thank Glenn, all of our, executive team that is working their butts off to just support the agents so we can support our clients and sell and be more effective with our clients and sell more real estate, do a better job for the people out there, that we take those signs and stick them in the yard. So, Jason, thank you, brother.
Well, Jay, I thank you so much. I not only your energy, but I've always valued and appreciated your authenticity. You're one of the most authentic individuals I've come across. And when you say something, I know you really mean it, and I know you give everything you have to this company. You and I have had many conversations about some of, both challenging things that have come up over the year that you've been with us, as well as some really exciting opportunities. I love working with you. I know everybody loves working with you. We really appreciate very much everything you're doing in Tennessee. I can't wait to see you in Las Vegas. I hope everybody who's with EXP and watching will be there. And I hope that some others maybe will be interested in attending or learning more about it too. But thanks for having me on, and I appreciate you putting up with me.
Love you, Jason. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate you, man. Have
Thanks
a good
very
night.
much.
Hey, go
Okay.
watch
You too.
some TV. Hug your.
By the way, I was looking at. I realized we weren't even connected on Facebook prior to today, but I went back and I looked at your photos. Are you a Red Sox fan? I saw a Red Sox hat
What?
on.
When I was a kid, I loved the Red Sox, so I went to. Dude, I sat on top of the Green Monster. Did you see that picture? Dude.
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, we were up there, just up on top. We went to a game last year, and I love the Sox. It was fun.
It's a good seat.
It was a great.
Good. Well,
so next time,
come on up this year. Maybe we'll do that.
We'll have to go to the game, man.
I look forward to it.
All right,
Okay. Have a great
have a
night.
blessed night with your
Thank
family,
you.
man. See you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
See you
Bye.
guys.